There we go. Getting all my cameras all adjusted. Okay, what time is it? Geez, it's almost 8 o'clock. Just waiting for people to turn up. Let me see. Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. What's tonight? Thursday. No, yes, Thursday night. Okay. Hello. Got Taylor and Kelly. We got anyone on YouTube? Yeah, I got one person on YouTube, but it doesn't show up unless they put a comment on there. Okay. Oops. Lots and lots of stuff's been going on around here, so haven't had a lot of time to do lives, but I love doing them, so hopefully I'll do more of them again. I used to do these lives every single day for about 1.5 years or 2 years. And I just haven't had time. So we're just waiting for everyone to turn up. By the way, I'm in Vancouver, Canada. Where are you from? Where do you live? I'm always interested. I got clients all over the world, and I learned so much about different countries. And you learn about their family life and their households and, not just tourists. Like if you travel to a country, you're more likely to see hotels and tourist stuff. But I get to see how they live. And yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. I really enjoy it. Oh, Seattle, Washington. Hello, Parisa. We're neighbors. I'm just up here in Vancouver. I think Seattle's quite a bit bigger. The actual cities, both cities are about the same size, but then it spreads out, right? Seattle's huge. I haven't been down there for probably, 15 years maybe. Okay. And we're not allowed to travel down the States. We're getting warnings not to because they're holding Canadians hostage now or something. So we can't even go down there anymore. So Glencoe, Ontario. Hi, Kimberly. Okay, I'll get going now. I've got enough people. I know it's slow because it's the time. Everyone's kind of going to bed, and that's just Thursday night. Anyway, and that's good. It means I should be able to get to most of the questions. Hi, from Cairns, Queensland. A lot of people think that's pronounced Cairns, but it's Cairns. I lived in Australia for 20 years. Anyway, and Elgin, Illinois. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother. If you go on my website, BratBusters.com, you can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching. We will be shutting down coaching soon because the wait list is too big. So we're going to shut down the wait list probably by tomorrow, just to let you know. It's just gotten too big. So but anyway, you can look into coaching, I guess. And the podcast. The podcast is BratBusters Parenting, and it's on all the platforms. My daughter and I do it together because we work together. So mother-daughter working together in a parenting business. Could not be more well aligned. Okay, so I'll just start answering your questions as best as I can. I also throw other stuff in, and I like to mix up the questions and the ages if possible. But it looks like it's going to be a smaller group tonight, so I might be able to get to all the questions. Oh, darn. I'm burning incense and it's smoke's coming over here. Okay, so Noelia on YouTube. Hey, I have a question. I have a 2-year-old who just runs away when we're out. How can I put a stop to it? You say to him, put a harness on him before you go out and say, if you run away, we're going to clip you into this leash. It's going to be one heck of an ugly outing, and keep him clipped into that leash the whole time you're out. But just do some practice outings. You don't want to go somewhere where you need to go. Go somewhere like just that you don't really care if you go, just to teach him not to run. So they do not like being put on that harness and the leash, and it'll teach them. It's a life and death thing. You restrain them in the car. You want to restrain them so they can't run over and get hit by a bus or something too, right? Hello, Tanya from Alaska. Excellent. Welcome. Okay. Just waiting for more questions. I just want to tell you something I thought was so cute. This little boy had, it was one of my clients, and he had on the behavior board, which is completely free. You can check it out on my website. And his rule was whatever, I don't remember what it was, but then there's always 2 consequences for the kids. And he didn't do the first consequence, which was just do a chore or something. So he got 24-hour media blackout. So at the end of that 24-hour media blackout, he was 7 years old. At the end of the 24-hour media blackout, the mom said she was watching him. I can't remember exactly how it went, but he gets back on his gaming station or whatever it is, and he goes, "Well, I won't make that mistake again." The way he said it, he sounded so old. Isn't that cute? Well, I won't make that mistake again. He learned his lesson. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your questions. Kids are like animals. Nature has all the answers to our questions. So I guess instead of listening to me, you should go walk in a forest. I actually hugged a tree once because I heard it. There is something to it, I've heard. So my daughter and I were hiking, and there was no one around. It was Christmas Day, and it was all snowy and that. And we were up on this mountain on a hike, and went over and hugged a tree. I don't know about you, but I didn't feel anything, and maybe I didn't do it long enough or with enough feeling. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I actually hugged a tree. There you go. Okay. Took my granddaughter to the library the other day, and I took her to the library. She loves books. And you should have seen her eyes when she saw all these books at the library. It's just in heaven. It was so cute. Okay. How do you get mom and dad on the same page for parenting? I'm just going to give you a flippant answer. Well, I shouldn't say that because you flip a coin. Like, I didn't mean to have a pun there. You flip a coin and you say, okay, your way for 3 weeks. And then if that doesn't work, my way for 3 weeks. So, and you just pick a side and flip a coin and say, look, we're just going to go your way. If it works, fine, we'll keep doing it. If not, we'll do your way. So this is if you're really arguing over what parenting method to use. Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of a tough one because I don't know your situation. Are you not on the same page because you disagree, or you're just not, one just is doing it and the other one isn't? So yeah, I don't know. And the kids only need one leader, by the way, but you don't want the other parent to undermine you. That's the problem. If you live in the same house, you don't want that parent, the leader, to be undermined in the same household, in their house. So if it's an ex and they have a different household and they're undermining you, whatever, don't worry about that. Nothing you can do about that. But in your house, you don't want another parent undermining you, saying, yes, don't be ridiculous. Of course they can have that. If you've already said no, yeah, it really doesn't work. Bishop Falls, Newfoundland. Hi, Denise. My 7-year-old has what I see as a smart mouth, but not sure that falls under attitude that needs to be ignored or behavior. Okay. I don't address anything that they say, basically, except if they swear or name call. I will address that. I'll put it on the behavior board. No swearing or name calling. So you can address that. But when it comes to attitude, no, nothing you can do. They only have attitude when you're not a leader. Once you're a leader, they don't have an attitude. And attitude is the very last thing to go away. When you're doing all this, it just happens organically as a result of everything you're doing, not as a result of you addressing attitude. You don't address it because there's no point. I don't like your attitude, mister. They're like, so what? Oh, you asked about daycare. I don't know anything about daycare. I only teach parenting. Should the leader typically be the one who spends the most time with the kids? It often is. But it doesn't have to be. The leader is just the one that is, well, okay, I'm going to read out my top, where are they? Top 3 leadership qualities. This is the leader. You're calm during the storms when they're disciplining. You're crazy during the rainbows. When everything's happy, you can be goofy and crazy. And you're a great listener. That's leadership. Calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, and be a great listener. Those are my top tips. There's lots of other ones, but that's just my top ones. And you can have 2 leaders in a house. Both parents can be leaders, but there's usually that one. You know the one? There's usually one that the kids will turn to and tell everything to, and that's the one that they tend to look to. for answers. There usually is one. Doesn't mean they love that one more. It just means that's more the leader. A video that's got a lot of attention that we just did was the one, was it a podcast? Or I think my daughter takes videos from the podcast that we film. And it was one about grandparents interfering and giving unsolicited advice. Boy, that got a lot of comments, good and bad. And it really ruffled a lot of shirts. And I can understand why. But I do want to say that it was addressing the unsolicited, unwanted advice more than anything. Yeah. I got to admit, I was talking to my son. I always say I don't give unsolicited advice, but I was talking to my son today. And I said, and I never give parenting advice. But I said, when I was over there the other day, I tested out your bookshelf and it's definitely a bit wobbly. Like, in other words, it could come down on my granddaughter. And he says, yeah, we've already got that. We got that covered, because she's just becoming mobile now. So she's just at that stage she could start pulling stuff down. So, but yeah, that's the only thing I've ever said. But I don't know if they would have thought, not everyone thinks to anchor bookshelves and dressers. It's just, maybe I didn't know if they knew that, and it's a safety thing. So yeah, so I did give unsolicited advice. He said, thanks, Mom. Yeah, we already got that on the list. It's just, she's just becoming mobile now. Wasn't an issue before. I remember years and years ago, it was tragic. This little boy pulled out drawers and used them to step on in his dresser. And it wasn't even a really high dresser. And yeah, he got pinned and did not make it. So I always remembered that story. Love that video. We currently live with my parents, and it's been very hard knowing I'm being unreasonable with not wanting advice. So you were a fan. There's lots of the others that hated that video. A lot of grandparents were unfollowing me, I'm sure. It's funny. I've got to say what I'm thinking. I don't have a filter. I just let it fly. Okay. This is Parisa. I probably said that wrong. I ignore my 22-month-old during tantrums, but he comes to me, call me, or give me hugs to give him my attention. Should I still ignore him? He sometimes never stops and keeps asking for the same thing. So when they're having a tantrum, I need a hug, and that's not love. That's not love they're after. That's your attention they're after, okay? That is not a love hug. That is not love attention. That is validate my tantrum, validate my anger. So you still ignore it. That is not a love hug. Even when they're coming out of the tantrum, I call it the tantrum hangover. So when they're, I need a hug. I would talk to them once they finish the tantrum, because you ignore a tantrum. You ignore a tantrum is not emotions and feelings. It's a loss of emotional control, not getting their own way. That's why you ignore it. So as soon as they're done, and I need a hug, I'd say, you're all right. Pat them on the back. You're okay. Let's go read a book. I still don't do that. Oh, I love you, because it's not love they're after. They want to be validated. So yeah, you don't validate anything around that not getting my own way, that anger. It's all based on, tantrums are all based on anger. You don't need to validate all that. They're mad because they didn't get their own way. Now, are kids allowed to be angry? Of course they are. But tantrums, they'll outgrow those. It's the tantrums you don't want. And they don't tend to get angry when they get past that toddler stage in the same way. And they don't tend to get angry because they know they can come to you and talk to you about stuff. And if they don't like what's going on, they can talk to you. Once you're a leader, there doesn't seem to be any of that anger or anything happening anymore. Because if my kids didn't like something, they would come to me and say, Mom, I think you're being unreasonable with this request or whatever. I don't know. And I'd say, yeah, you're right. And they usually were right. They didn't come to me unless they knew they were probably right. Why would they bother? Just waste of energy. So, but yeah. My daughter's almost 3 and gets very emotional, wants to be hugged and held all the time. Sometimes when she is having a meltdown, sometimes just for attention. Yeah. Do you play with her enough? If you connect with her enough, that neediness maybe is either she's demanding because she wants more, or she's not getting enough. You have to decide that. Always having to comfort her. Why is she always so upset? She's 3 years old. I don't know why she's so upset. Wants to be held and hugged. Could she just be jealous because you have a younger one here? I have a 9-month-old that needs my attention also. Yeah, I don't know. But if it's a meltdown, I still ignore that. That's in the tantrum department. Same thing. With dressers from IKEA, you can only open one drawer at a time to prevent the dresser from topping. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, but they can still hang from it, and it's still, I would still, I anchored everything to the wall, pretty much everything. I was made more self-aware from your unsolicited advice video. Now I think first, then speak. Yeah, the thing is that let's say your advice is great, okay? If it's a safety issue or you're really danger or something, then yeah, I would. Like I said, I just mentioned to my son today. I said I didn't know if he knew about anchoring furniture to the wall, but they already had that figured out. So just because she's just getting mobile now. Anyway, the thing is that you think about it. Do any of us really want unsolicited advice, like about anything? Let's say I had some weight to lose and someone offered me, hey, I found this really great diet center. How do you think I'd feel? What do you think I'd say? I know a great personality repair person. So it's not very funny, but I'd probably say something like that. But yeah, think about it. None of us want it. Hugs aren't necessarily validation, it's comfort. I do not comfort a tantrum. I do not comfort a tantrum. You go right ahead. You do that, but I don't. I don't teach it. I don't recommend it. I don't do it. I do not comfort a tantrum because it's anger at not getting what they want, when they want, how they want it. That's all it is. So why would I comfort that? Yeah. Yeah. Same thing as validation. Same thing. Oh, if they hug you during a tantrum, do you just pry them off? Yeah, I kind of do. I might be doing my own thing, walking with a limp because I got a kid hanging onto one leg. Yeah, I still ignore them. It's not love. That is not love that they're after. It's validation. I'm angry. If you hug me, it looks like you feel bad for me. Yeah. Anyway, I won't go on too much about it because I've been talking about it for years and it just works. Do you offer any training for children with ADHD? I do not separate them. That's where I learned all this. All the kids I worked with I called them alphabet kids. ADHD, WXYZ. They all had acronyms after their name. Those are all the kids I learned this with. So they're no different. They're not special needs. They're treated like they are, though. They're not. So I know it's so hard not to, but I'm trying. Yeah, the thing is, you got to remember that their emotional drama, their show, their theater that they go through with tantrums and all that, it's not as traumatic for them as it looks because it's usually toddlers that do a lot of that. Now, when they're babies, they cry when they need something. So crying to a baby is not traumatic. Toddlers are coming out of that. So their tears, as theatrical and dramatic as they look, are rarely anywhere near as traumatizing as they would be if you did it or that you think they are. If we acted like that, it would be trauma. But to them, think about it. They're coming out of babyhood. That's still how they communicate. They don't have other ways of communicating as well, right? So yeah, that is their language. And it's not nearly as traumatizing as it looks. They put on quite the show though, don't they? Yeah, I'd just be stepping over them, doing my chores. Like it's like they're invisible. And they'll literally stand up and follow me into another room. They'll stop the tantrum, stand up, follow me into another room, then throw themselves on the ground again and start screaming again. Yeah, it's just a show. It's a show. You don't keep falling for it. Four-year-old will tell two-year-old to go against the rules when he's mad at me. Well, a two-year-old really doesn't have rules. The four-year-old just have a consequence when he does. Put it on the board. Quit telling your sibling to do naughty things. My son said he hates me. He's 4, and it was a rough when I lost my cool and yelled at him. He tells, okay, I won't read the whole thing. Anyway, when they say they hate you, if they say it when they're mad and everything's kind of crazy, just ignore it. They'll say anything to get your guff or to get you upset. So yeah, I wouldn't give that any credit. But if you're on a ride at Disneyland and they say they turn to you, oh, by the way, I hate you, then I might look into it. But if they're just going to say anything to get a rise out of you. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. The pause and then start up again. There was an old video. It's probably still out there. It was viral, but years ago, 20 years ago. And this mom was in a room filming her screaming, hysterical toddler on the floor, kicking and screaming. She left the room. She filmed herself. She left the room and she filmed it. And you just saw this kid get quiet. He stood up, walked out, and then saw her again, then dropped to the floor and started screaming again. It's just a theater. Oh, that was so cute. Pretty much summed it up. Okay, I'm going to move over to, I got to move over to Instagram if you want to join me over there. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching, but I will be shutting down the intake form. It's too many on the wait list. I can't even get to it right now. So it will be shut down. I think we're going to shut it down tomorrow, just to let you know, just temporarily while I catch up with everyone that's already, anyway, it's just gotten out of control. Anyway, so anyway. And then you can look into the podcast. We do that. We haven't shut that down at all. My daughter and I film 2 a week, and we've just done some disclaimers on some of them. Just sound quality thing. The recent one, I think it went out today, was the one where my daughter just looked really blah. She had no emotions. And then the next question is this. We'd just gone through a big business meeting, the two of us. She still had her business cap on. She couldn't let go of it. She was still trying to work out this business problem. So I did a disclaimer that the reason why she looks so like this. So people thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, you can check out our podcast if you want. It's on YouTube if you want to watch the video, and then it's on all the podcast platforms. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm going over to Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Okay, bye now. I can't believe how many buttons I have to push to go on a live. There we go. Okay, what time is it? I've got so much to do tonight too. Okay. This is Mama H. Your methods have really helped me enjoy the toddler stage. Everyone warned me about. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. I would say one of the smartest things I did with my kids when they were toddlers was I child-proofed the house. So I never had to watch them around the house. I didn't have to worry about them. They couldn't get into any rooms I didn't want them to get into. There was nothing from the waist down that they could get into. One of the smartest things I've ever done was child-proof my house when I had toddlers. Anyway, I'll get into that in a minute. Okay, welcome to the live. I know it's a bit late. I'll be up working tonight too. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother. If you go on my website, BratBusters.com, you can get my free behavior board, courses, The coaching, I think we'll be shutting it down for a little while, starting tomorrow, I think. But you can still get on the list. But it's just the list of, anyway, it's just gotten too big. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're shutting it down tomorrow, just temporarily. Just so, anyway, whatever. Anyway, and that was my son's idea, actually. He told me that. He says, Mom, if the list is too big, shut it down. And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. So, sometimes it takes someone else to see it. Anyway, and then also check out the podcast. My daughter and I do that together. And we film 2 a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And one just went out today. And anyway, so you can check into that if you're interested. It's on all the platforms. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. Or just BratBusters Podcast. I don't really know. Anyway, I don't do. My daughter does all that. So, okay. So let's get going with your questions. Let me see here. Joyce, I appreciate your insights and content. Excellent. Thanks so much. I appreciate your support. Yeah, I came online really, I started on TikTok. I was never really doing much social media before then. I went on TikTok and just blew up overnight. I couldn't believe it. And it's still my biggest platform is TikTok. Yeah, it's a weird platform because it goes really fast because you get all the people who are already on there. And yeah, it was really bizarre how that happened. Anyway, from Chicago, how do I get kids to stop? Okay, you got a kid who's hitting the dog? I'm guessing you got a kid who's hitting the dog. And I don't know the age of the kid, but I would put down no hurting the dog on the behavior board if they're 3 and above. If under that, you just make sure you keep that dog safe. It's going to be exhausting, but you got to put the dog somewhere else, put a gate up between the kid and the dog if he's under 3 years old or even older. And if you really can't keep the dog safe, I would rehome it, even temporarily if you have to, board it or something. There's no way I would allow an animal to be abused in my home. My kids knew from a very young age, you never pick up the dog. They knew that. If they were sitting on the couch, they could ask me to put the dog on their lap because I was just worried they might fall and drop her, And also they knew not to run past the bird cage, might startle the bird. So they can learn that stuff. And if they can't, I would have rehomed my pets. There's no way I would let animals get hurt in my home. So think about it. I've actually had people who've said they've had to rehome their pets. Especially if you've got a tiny little animal, like a tiny little dog or something that kids could really hurt. Three-year-old has issues with listening and following instructions like brushing teeth or washing hands turns into a meltdown. Okay, just put on the behavior board, wash your hands within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. If he doesn't, there's a consequence. We all learn through a consequence. We don't learn through being told something. We don't learn with lectures. God, who would do anything with a lecture? Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, it's through consequences. Check out the free behavior board. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. My 6-year-old has a victim mentality, not sure how. So he's a victim all the time. Woe is me. Does it get attention? Is that why he does it? I don't know. I don't know why he does it. But if he gets attention, yeah, maybe that's why. Oh. Someone on YouTube's asking for money. Don't fall for those scams. I'm sure you wouldn't anyway. You're too smart for that. Okay. Age-appropriate consequences. Just go on my free behavior board. It's just doing a chore. Just get them to wipe a windowsill, clean a window, wipe the toothpaste out of the bathroom sink, sweep the kitchen floor, help you do the laundry. It doesn't have. Don't worry about the consequence. A lot of people think the consequence is important. It really isn't. It's just a good deed. And then if they won't do that, then you do 24-hour media blackout or something. Basically, you just take something away. There's always 2 consequences for the kids. The first one's a positive action. The second one is a negative deprivation. You resort to that if they won't do the first one. So yeah, don't focus on what the consequence is. Just have one and be consistent. But check out the free behavior board. It explains all that and gives you some ideas. How can we prevent children from being entitled? Usually it's not spoiling them. That's why. Yeah, just don't spoil them. Can I have that? Sure, you can have anything you want. Yeah, just be careful with that. Don't give in to their demands. Yeah. Great podcast today. Oh, you didn't mind the low energy with my daughter, eh? She got rid of most of the videos that I did with the disclaimer. I was trying to be funny. She didn't want that. I had all sorts of reasons why she looked like that. But yeah, she got rid of them all. I thought it was funny. Okay, this is Rebecca. I bought your toddler bootcamp course. My toddler's 33 months, so almost 3. And I'm seeing a big improvement in her behavior since purchasing your course and listening to your videos. Well, that was an ad for me. Thank you so much. I didn't know that when I started reading, but thank you. Yeah, but I always say, I just give the advice. You're the ones who do the work. So pat yourself on the back for that. That means you're doing the work. You said how to handle 7 and 3-year-old fighting and whining. Well, I'll just address the whining for now. I'm kind of tired of talking about fighting. I talked about it a lot today with clients. I've only got so much energy for certain topics. Okay, so the whining one. What I do with whining is if they're 3 and above, basically, is I say to them, you know, when you whine, and that sounds like this. Yeah, when you whine, I will not answer you. But if you talk nicely, I will answer you. But the answer may still be no. And I don't treat whining as bad behavior. I treat it as a affectation, like a way that they speak, right? So it's like the vocal fry, stuff like that. There's just a way of people speaking, right? So that's how I treat that. So they don't always know they're doing it. So as soon as they whine, I would say, I'll tell you what, every time you whine, I'm going to go like this. And that means you are whining. You're just going to tell them they're whining. And then you shut down. Then you ignore. And then when they talk nicely, then you say yes, and then you answer them, but the answer may still be no. So you got to give them a warning. You got to let them know they're whining. And there's no consequence for not whining, like on the behavior board. It's just that you don't answer them if they whine. It's funny. I don't mind tantrums or snotty behavior. I can handle all that. Whining makes my teeth rattle. I can't stand whining. We all have something. That's my thing. Oh, you asked about getting a kid to take medicine? Can't answer that. Not a doctor, not a nutritionist, so I can't talk about medicine. Don't know anything about it. I know what I did with my kids, but I can't talk about it just because it's medicine. Amy, oh God, that's so funny. Amy did seem like she was held hostage. That's my daughter. That's so funny. I'm going to tell her that one. Oh, that's great. Uh-huh. I'll tell you in a second. My daughter and I do a podcast together. And she just had a really low energy one because we'd had a business meeting before and she had her business cap on. So usually we've got a really good energy going back and forth. She asks the questions and I answer them in the podcast. So this one, she goes, I'm just going to have to toss it. She goes, can you look at it? Because if she's not sure about something, she'll send it to me. And she goes, I just don't like it. But she didn't tell me why. Like she didn't say it's because I look so low energy. So I'm watching it and I'm thinking, geez, she looks like she's got low energy. So I said to her, I only watched about a quarter of it. And I said, geez, you look really low energy. So anyway, she wanted to get rid of it. And I said, no, because there was still some good information in it. So, but I did a disclaimer explaining why she looked like that. But yes, Tabitha, she did look like she was being held hostage. That was great. Oh, it's my daughter right now. She's not watching them live. I'm just going to tell her I'm doing it live. Doing a live. I'm just going to say, someone said you looked like you hostage in today's podcast. So I just had to type that before I forget. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. You got to put an age. I can't answer if I don't have an age. I have a 3.5-year-old per the BratBuster guide, only focus on. I don't know what you mean. The behavior board focuses on 3+, so 3.5 it would focus. Are you talking about the behavior board? The behavior board's free on my website, by the way, if you want to check that out, BratBusters.com. Okay. This is Christy Hunter on YouTube. Should I give a consequence for not following directions at school? I am not sure. He's a talker in 2nd grade, and I get notes home once a week. Yes, you can. You can put on the behavior board, follow teacher's directions, or don't act out in school. And I often say you never address attitude, but you can at school. That's not parenting. It's just different. You can address his attitude at school. Seems like a contradiction, but don't ask me to explain it. It's just different. So say, and it's not so much attitude, but just follow directions, right? So I would say, put that on the board and then say the teacher will be reporting to me every day if you were naughty, like if you weren't following directions, and there'll be a consequence. That's that simple. So yeah, you can start there, see if it works. Okay, well, it's kind of an awkward question. I don't talk a lot about babies because I kind of give in to whatever they want. Babies are just different. So, but the question is how to get 9-month-old out of my bed and into crib. Doesn't fall asleep on his own, only if coddled. Okay, my daughter was like that. She slept with us, I think it was 9 or 10 months. I can't remember exactly. And I said, that's it. We weren't sleeping well. We would just pass her back and forth and we'd be half awake. We were terrified of smothering her. And anyway, it just got to the point where you wake up and you get a foot in your mouth. You know, she was just all over the place. So she was getting too old. Anyway, so what I did, and I'm not, you can do this if you want. I'm not like, it's not really what I teach. It's baby stuff. I teach more toddler and stuff, but I'll just tell you what I did with my daughter. I decided I wanted her in her own bed and she just wanted to be held all night. That's the way she was, but she wasn't a crier. She was a very passive little baby actually, but she would sort of fuss a bit. Anyway, I just thought I'm just going to do it. And I just put her in her cot and crib or whatever you want to call it. In Australia, it's where I raised it. It's called a cot. So I put her in the crib and then I just said, you're okay. And I patted her back a little bit and then she went to sleep and then she woke up at about 11. And so I went back in. Now that was when we'd pick her up and take her in our bed with us because she would fall asleep in her cot, in her crib. And then we'd take her in bed around 11. She'd get a feed. And so I take her in bed. But what I did was I realized she didn't need a feed or anything after that. So I took them both away. I took our bed away from her and I also took the feed away from her. She just didn't need it anymore because I could tell she wasn't drinking a lot. She just wanted to be cuddled, right? So anyway, I just said, you're okay. And I patted her and then I left her in the crib and I went out and I shut the door and I sat outside her bedroom door and I just held a pillow and cried into it while she cried. I think I let her cry for a minute or so. Then I went in and I said, you're okay. Then I came out again. I cried again while she cried. 2 minutes. Went back in. You're okay. Mommy's here. Then I left again. And then I let her cry for 3 minutes. And then she eventually just fell asleep and she got used to it. It's tough. I don't like doing it. It's tough. I don't like recommending it because I hate doing it. It was hard, but I did it. I think another thing I did too, I'm not too sure. Maybe that's what I did with my son. I think with her, I think I have a memory of one of my kids. I sat in a chair beside them and gave them my arm through the crib rails. And I pretended I was falling asleep. And I just gave them my arm. That might have been what I did with her. My son, I did the other. I can't remember now. It's like 30 years ago. But anyway, yeah, good luck with that. It's heartbreaking. I thought it was agony. But I did it. I don't like, my thing is with babies, if they cry, I pick them up. I do whatever they want. They're babies. It's not a time to discipline. Yeah. How do you deal with a 6-year-old using poop and fart every day? So he's saying that all the time. You just put down no naughty words and say that includes poop and fart. So just put down no naughty words on the behavior board. And when he does, he gets a consequence. That's it. If he says it constantly all day long, I would say, I'll tell you what, we'll discuss it after dinner. So after dinner, I would say, the consequence for saying those words is you have to sweep the kitchen floor or something. So I'll tell you what, you said it a lot today. We're going to go straight to 24-hour media blackout, and that starts now. So go straight to the second consequence because he's done it all day. And you don't have to give him a warning. That's a surprise attack. It's okay. It's his choice to say it all, to break the rule all day long. Remember, the consequence is always their choice. It's not yours. It wasn't your choice that he broke the rule. It was his. He's 6 years old. He'll get it. Yeah, I don't know, Daniela. This is on YouTube. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Try the behavior board, the free behavior board first. If that's not enough for you, you can go up to the boot camp course, the 3 to 12-year-old one, and try and set yourself up as a leader. When you're a leader at home, by the age of 4 for sure, they treat everyone with respect because they'd be too embarrassed that you heard that they were being naughty because they look up to a leader. They look up to you. They want to please you when they're kids, not when they're teenagers so much. You don't want that anyway. You want them to want to please themselves and be their own leaders. But you're there for backup for the big stuff. Oh, you got an 8-year-old lying? Use the behavior board and say the rule is no lying. And then you put in brackets, I'll decide when that's happened. You can usually tell. If you're not sure if they're lying, I use interviews when kids are fighting and when they lie. So what I do is I say, okay, so you said that happened. I just want to see if you're lying or not. So can you tell me exactly what happened? Write it all down, bullet point form. Oh, and then that happened, and then that, and you didn't touch that, and then okay, fine. And then an hour later, do it again. If they're telling the truth, if you're not sure if they're lying, if you know they're lying, you don't have to explain yourself. You just say you were lying, and I know you were. But if you're not sure, you do that interview, and then an hour later, you do the same interview. And if they're lying, the interview will change. They'll change the facts. They might buff it up if they're telling the truth, but it doesn't change. The truth never changes. Lies change all the time because they think, oh, this is a much better lie. I think I'll say that. Okay, what time is it? I gotta go. I've still got tons of work to do tonight and it's getting late. So I'm gonna go over to TikTok and I'll just do maybe 15 minutes over there. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, mom, and I'm also a grandmother. Check out my website. You can see my free behavior board, my coaching, my courses, my coaching, my podcast. And anyway, and that's it. I'm going to go over to Instagram or TikTok now. Thanks so much. Happy parenting. Bye now. Oh, they changed it again. TikTok keeps changing how you do this. Just a sec. Oh, sneaky. Sneaky. They did something new. Okay. Just on TikTok. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn. I always take a bit of a break between Instagram and TikTok so my voice starts to go. And I didn't plan a lunch break tomorrow, so wow. 1, 2. I just noticed that. It's going to be rough. Okay. Okay, so people are starting to turn up. Thanks so much for joining. This is how dumb I am. I'm not good with technology. I thought, 66 people are here. That's my battery. I've got 66% battery left. Oh, God. Not the brightest bulb with technology. Okay, I'll just introduce myself. We'll get going. I can't be on here for that long because I've got a lot to do. And then I want to get to bed. So I go to the gym super early. So, okay, thanks so much for joining me. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother. If you want to check out my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching. I've got a big wait list for that. And we're going to have to shut down the wait list, I think, just for temporarily, just because it's gotten... I can't get to people on there yet. So anyway, I think that's my son recommended that actually. Thanks very much, sweetie. He said, Mom, shut it down. If it's, I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that. It's funny. It takes an outsider, like, cause he doesn't work in the business. So anyway, and then you can look into our podcast, and my daughter and I do that together. We work together, and we have a lot of fun doing that. So we do 2 a week, and the podcast is, on all the platforms. And also, if you want to watch it, some people like to watch it, the video, you can see that on YouTube, BratBusters Parenting. Okay. Oh, thanks, Ashley. I appreciate your support. Today's podcast, yesterday's video on the grandparents unsolicited, like giving advice unsolicited. Ooh, that got a lot of feedback. Angered a lot of people. Some of the comments, my daughter and I were just cracking up though. This grandmother said, I never saw it that way, because I said, you should never, as a grandparent, like I'm a grandparent, you never tell your kids how to parent. If they ask your advice, then you can give advice, but no one wants unsolicited advice. Nobody does. And your kids don't want it usually they don't want it anyway. So, but all this hilarious comments. And this one grandmother said, she gives a lot, she's always sending parenting advice to her son and his wife. She goes, the only one they've ever responded to was when she sent that video, unsolicited advice. That's the only time they've ever responded. I thought that was priceless. Thanks. Gonna have to show Grandma raising triplets, and she has a lot to say. Has she raised triplets? Yeah, the thing is, if people want your advice, they'll ask for it, right? Like, you don't give unsolicited. Let's say you have a friend who's overweight. Do you offer a diet center to her? Would you do that? Think about it. It's the same thing. It's an insult. Any unsolicited advice is criticism. You need some help. That's what you're saying. You're not doing a good enough job. You need help. And I'm going to tell you. Yep. That's all it is. Oh, the comments are priceless. I even answered one of them. What did she say? It was a real snotty one. I can't remember what she said, but I couldn't help myself. My daughter tells me about some of them. Like, I never look online, and she does all the social media. But she told me about this one. She goes, this one grandmother just hated you. She was really mad at that. I couldn't wait to go on. Said I don't know what she said. Anyway, and then I said, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it was good. So yeah, I hardly ever answer comments. I just don't have time. But I went in and answered that one. I think it was on Instagram. Can't remember. Oh, my baby's in the NICU right now. Any ideas on how to see, build bond and connection? Yeah. Well, they talk about skin to skin a lot, and I've done that. I used to do that. What do they call that? When you volunteer and you go into the NICU and do that skin on skin thing. Actually, when I used to do it, this was 40 years ago, they didn't do skin on skin back then. And not that I've done it, but it wasn't real big at the time. Not the hospital I was doing it at. And but anyway, so we just go in and hold babies. I don't know what that was called, but yeah, I don't know. They say that they know your voice. That's one thing. So I would, if I was you, in the NICU, I would probably bring books in or something and just read to them. Just the sound of your voice evidently is soothing to them. I don't know much about it, but I would do that. I would just sit and read books to them if you couldn't touch them, obviously. 'Cause some of them you can't even hold for a while. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, just the sound of your voice. Oh, my wife and I follow your method and are leaders. Her mom doesn't and lives with us. Is that okay? Yeah, the only leaders should be the parents. You don't want anyone else being a leader. They can back you up, but you just want to be the leaders. You don't want other people to be the leader. It's a very strong position to be in. The leader is the one they go and tell everything to throughout the years. The leader is the one that they trust. You're a safe place to land. They want to please you. But yeah, you don't want other people to be leaders. You want to be the leader. How do you deal with the no stage with my 2-year-old? Just ignore it. Oh, we're going to go to bed now. No, put them in bed. Time to eat. No, put them in the high chair. Time to go. We got to go get going. Let's get in the car. No, put them in the car. When you say you're going to do something, just do it. Oh, thoughts on other parenting methods? I've never looked into it ever. I teach through experience. So why would I look at other parenting methods? Yeah, I don't talk about them. I don't know about them. I have 4 teenage girls and a boy, and ignoring the sass is the best thing. Yeah, best advice. Yeah, what's the point? What's the point? I'm going to read out. I forgot to read a couple things here I wanted to read. These are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. They're my favorite age, by the way. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. Number 2, negotiate as much as possible. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Reciprocity. You're building mutual respect. Number 3, with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay that they make mistakes, just like you did, just like you do. Okay, number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. When do you discuss the bad times? Never. What's the point? Let's discuss when you were bad. Let's discuss all the things you did wrong. What's the point? It's just blaming, shaming, bullying. Yeah, I don't do that. Number 5, with teenagers and with adults too, or anyone really, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. Think about that. You can be a right fighter or you can be happy. Can't be both. And when you're fighting with a teenager, arguing with a teenager, they know when you're right. They know you're right. You're usually right. Not always, but you're usually right. They already know, but they're going to fight to the death anyway. So what's the point? You can be a right fighter or you can be happy. I'm going to read out. This came up a lot today in coaching. It's a saying I use a lot, and I've said it a lot on lives too. My goal is always that kids feel good about themselves when they're with me. I want them to. That's the pool story. I want them to look up the pool story. If you've never seen it before, just Google BratBusters pool story. It'll pop up. Anyway, I want them to feel good about themselves when they're with me. When they feel good, they do good. If they feel bad, they do bad. Kids who feel good have high self-esteem. They like themselves. They do good. They just do. They're proud of themselves. So if you feel good, you do good. If you feel bad, you do good. Do bad. You don't want to talk about the bad behavior. You address it. That's the pool story. You address it and then let it go. and focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy is what grows. Where you put your focus is what grows. I don't take any crap. I don't ignore any bad behavior. I deal with it, and then I focus on the good kid. I want kids to like themselves when they're with me. That's how I get the best out of them. It's quite simple, really, when you think about it. If someone makes you feel good, don't you want to please that person? If someone makes you feel good about yourself, how do you treat that person? It's really powerful. Think about it. So you want to make your kids feel good about themselves. That's all I teach. I mean, we talk about discipline a lot because those are the questions that you ask me. But that's really about fixing kids, which I don't focus on. I don't fix kids. I fix and teach parents. But we deal with bad behavior. But the discipline isn't the focus for me. It's the connection. Kids' love language is not therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That's ridiculous. Their love language is fun. They just want to have fun. They just want to laugh. They want to feel like they're fun and valued by you. They want to feel like you enjoy their company. They don't want to be lectured. Neither do you, by the way. And yet parents know they don't like to be lectured at, and yet they do it with their kids all the time. It's fascinating to me. Yeah. You treat your kids in a way that you wouldn't want to be treated. Think about it. My 14-year-old boy becomes aggressive when I ask him to get off his gaming computer just to move. Yeah, that's more, if he gets aggressive, I don't want to answer that because that would be more coaching. If you got an aggressive 14-year-old, I can't answer that here. That's more next level if he's aggressive. So, yeah. But I just read out my top 5 parenting tips for teenagers. You might want to think about that. And it's probably out there in a video somewhere. My daughter does all that. It's probably out there. Just look up top tips for parenting teenagers. But also, if you're going to follow me, and if you feel like I'm giving you some value, don't follow anyone else if you're going to use my tips. If you're going to follow someone else, don't follow me or anyone else, because our methods are a system. They're meant to be used together. You can't pick and choose what you like from different parenting coaches and put them all together like a mash and expect it to work. It's ridiculous. It's like diets. You can't go to 5 different diet centers and mix them all up, pick and choose what you like from each one and expect it to work. It doesn't make any sense at all. So if you like what I'm saying and it resonates with you, just follow me and nobody else. If you like someone else, follow them and nobody else. Use their system exclusively for like 3 weeks, I would say, or use my system exclusively, my ideas, my methods for 3 weeks. Like if you were to throw timeout into my methods, it would tank. I hate timeout. I think it's mean. I think it's horrible. Can't stand it. So if you were to throw that into my methods, it would tank. Does that make sense? I'm not saying I'm the best. I don't even know who else is out there. I never look at anyone else. But you've got to pick a team. You got to pick a road to travel on. You can't keep taking these side roads. You got to pick a path. And it's got to, like, we all teach something. Like I do this all the time. I look up business advice from different people, and it's also different because we're all different too. It's what resonates with me. Those are the people that I think, well, they've all probably got good advice. If they're all successful in business, they've probably got good advice. But what am I going to do? Like, am I actually going to follow some of these people? So you've got to follow someone that you're actually going to take action with. It's not good enough just to listen to what I'm saying. I want you to take action and do it. That's what the behavior board's all about. That's the training wheels with all this stuff. It's completely free. It's got a toddler section in there too. But the behavior board starts at 3. So what do you do instead of timeout? Use the behavior board. That's what you do. Timeout is like, could you imagine if you went to work? Like I said, we tend to treat kids worse than we want to be treated. Can you imagine if your boss said to you, you messed up, go sit in the corner, nose to wall for 20 minutes and think about what you did. And then when you're done, we'll discuss it in great detail. Think about it. How would you feel if someone did that to you? I just understand kids. I just get them. I really do. I know how a kid would feel if that was done to them. I know exactly how they'd feel. They feel like crap. All you're doing is making them feel rotten. And that's not how I operate. I always want them to feel good. They might not like the consequence, but it's not degrading them. So we do 2 to 3 minutes in a chair in the same room. I just don't like it. No, just look at my methods. I'm not going to discuss other methods. What's the point? I only teach what I know. I don't discuss the stuff I don't like, really. I just don't like timeout. That's the naughty chair you're talking about. I don't like that. But if you like it and it works for you, then do it. But don't follow me. Go follow someone else who would do that, because it wouldn't fit in with anything else I'm teaching. Because I think that's degrading. I wouldn't do it. Okay. Getting ready for our future as with a toddler. Husband doesn't agree with using cleaning as punishments on the behavior board. What other options would you give? Well, what does he have a problem with that for? Cleaning out a sink or something? What's wrong with that? You can just have him help you do the laundry or something. Yeah, I don't understand that. If he doesn't agree with it, then he'll have to come up with something. That's what I teach. So, yeah. That reminds me, I was talking to a parent once, and they said, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was sort of a similar thing. And they said, well, we like everything but that. But it's an integral part of what I teach. So, and I said, well, that is like, you can't pick and choose what you like. Sometimes we have to adjust things, but overall, it was such an integral part of what I teach. I think it might have been that they didn't want the parents to be on the behavior board. So you want to be a dictator then, because it's not. It's about teaching you how to be a leader, and you've got to be accountable. So they didn't. I think that was it. They didn't like that. They didn't like that. So we didn't end up working together, because I said I'm not going to compromise my methods. So, but they didn't want to be accountable. They thought that weakened them. If they made a mistake, they had to have a consequence. They thought that weakened them. It actually strengthens you. It makes you look like a good person. Yeah, it's interesting. Curious about how this could fit in private school discipline. No, I don't teach teaching at all. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, and I couldn't do their job, and they struggle with parenting. Parenting's personal, one-on-one or 1-on-3, whatever. It's personal. It's different. So like one thing is a reward chart works beautifully at school. It's not personal at school because it's a business. Whereas at home, a reward chart is a disaster. What you're saying to a child is you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a reward. See, it sends the wrong message, but they don't take it personally at school. So there's too many things that are different at school and at home. Like I said, I could never teach. I don't know anything about it. I teach connection, personal, like one-on-one, with kids. Personal relationship, like parenting. That's what I teach. But yeah, school. Lots of stuff does work. A lot of my clients who are teachers or principals or whatever, they'll take some of my methods to school. But a lot of it would not be appropriate, and vice versa. A lot of what's done at school doesn't work at home. Do you have any tips for parental preference with toddlers? Well, I often tell this story. I remember one of my kids I heard say in the bath, their dad was giving them a bath, and I was in the family room, and I heard them say, "We want mom." And I yelled out, I said, "Well, you're stuck with dad, so deal with it." That was the end of that. And then it was a while later, I heard them say, one of the other ones say the same thing. And then their dad said, "Well, you're stuck with me, so deal with it." Like, yeah, it's just sort of, they'll survive. They had a good dad. They survived. Yeah. I didn't allow them to control who was giving them a bath. So yeah, "I want mom." "No, your dad's fine." So, and they just stopped talking like that because they realized they couldn't just control who was giving them a bath and that. So Now, if he had been a rotten dad and was abusive, or you know what I mean, that's different. But he was a good dad, so why? You know, they'll survive. They're fine. Okay, I've got to get going. Actually, I've got a lot of work to do tonight, and I've got a full schedule tomorrow, so I can't get any work done then. So anyway, I mean, like I've got appointments all day with clients. So, and I didn't plan a lunch break, so I'm working from 9 to 4:30 with no lunch, nothing. Yeah, stupid. Anyway, my bad. Okay, gotta go. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. And happy parenting. Check out my website, bratbusters.com, if you want to know more. Bye now.